Welcome to the channel, bringing a real-world perspective to the real-world whiskey consumer.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin.
And we're back with another topical video that we post on Tuesdays where we like to start a conversation with you guys. So make sure to let us know your thoughts on this topic in the comments below.
Yes.
Today we're talking about the 5 things we wish we knew before we got into bourbon. This is a very interesting topic for a couple of reasons, and you're going to see why very soon. But we really do want you to engage in this, so let us know what you think down below.
Yeah.
As you get more and more into the bourbon hobby, more entrenched in the trenches, as it were.
Yeah.
I think that's a double negative, or a repetitive statement. Redundant, that's the word. It was redundant. But as you get in the trenches of bourbon, you start to realize, like, man, there were things I wish I knew starting out. So if you're new and starting out in bourbon, hopefully this is a helpful episode for you. And if you've been a seasoned bourbon vet, let us know where you're at.
Yeah.
Where are you at? What do you wish you knew before you got into bourbon?
Well, I don't claim to be into bourbon at all. I am here.
You do have a whiskey channel, though.
For the people.
Yeah.
I'm here for the community. So I am more of like a social drinker in general.
Yeah.
And so I got into whiskey because you were into it and you kept giving me things to try.
You were into whiskey before, though.
I drank it because
in social settings.
In social settings.
Yeah.
And so I honestly had no thoughts about it, and I still have no thoughts about it. I'm just here for fun.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
I will say I do have, in pure Josh form, I have an honorable mention that's not on the top 5 list, although I do have a top 5 things I wish I knew.
Let's get into it, because you've got more to say.
Honorable mention is drink whiskey however you want, however you like it. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Yeah. When we were both starting out, we both drank whiskey on ice, or we drink it in cocktails or things like that.
I still do from time to time. I drink more whiskey in cocktails, less on ice now, but I used to drink it on ice only. Right,
yeah, same here. So look, just because you might tune into some of our videos, especially our head-to-heads, and you might see us drinking barrel-proof bourbon completely neat out of a Glencairn and thinking it tastes fine like that, and you taste it and it tastes like race fuel in your mouth, pure gasoline, that's fine. You don't have to be on anybody else's level.
There's no right way to drink whiskey.
Right.
It's what's right is what's for you, because let's be honest, it's a liquid in a glass. Like, no one comments on how you drink your water or your juice. Some
people like savory food. Some people like sweet food. Some people like spicy food. Maybe people who love spicy food kind of hate on other people who don't like spicy food. But for the most part, nobody cares if you like sweet or savory food. Like what you like. Yeah. So enjoy your whiskey the way that you want it.
I agree with that 100%.
That absolutely is an honorable mention. However, it might be the most important point in this video.
You enjoying the whiskey the way you enjoy it will make it more enjoyable.
Yeah. And I will say that point ties into my number 5 point, which is honestly really the most important point. But let's go ahead and get into, as you've covered, you don't really have a top 5 list.
I don't have a top 5.
I do have a top 5, so let's go ahead and get into it. You can't look at a bourbon on paper and say, oh, that's higher proof. It's going to taste really hot. It might be very balanced. It could be higher aged, and it could taste like crap.
We have had some very high proof stuff that is very smooth.
Yeah.
Which you would not think on paper.
And we've had some low proof stuff that's very sharp and off-putting. We've had some things that are high aged that taste like you're licking a burnt piece of wood. And we've had some low aged stuff that tastes really well rounded and really balanced and really delicious.
What's on paper may not be what's in real life.
Same thing with price.
Kind of like dating.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Same thing with price. You could find something that's really high price and it could taste like absolute trash, and you could find something that's low price that completely knocks your socks off. So comparing specs on paper and thinking that stuff is going to tell you exactly how good the stuff in the bottle is kind of silly. Not saying it's not a determining factor. I absolutely look at the age on the bottle. If it's presented, I look at the price tag. I try to weigh all that into my decision-making process, but it's not as simple as just reading what's on the bottle and thinking that's going to dictate how good or not good the product in the bottle may be. Allocated products aren't always better.
True truth.
It means that they're more in demand, but in demand doesn't mean better.
It just means more in demand.
Right. There's a lot of reasons why people seek out products. People seek out, and let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room, Buffalo Trace products. People hunt those down.
Okay.
They look for them, and they do it because they're rare whether it's a real rarity like the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection.
I mean, there's a real easy way to make a scarcity in the market. You just produce less bottles, and then all of a sudden, it's very rare.
Right, but the point being is that just because these things are in high demand for whatever reason or another, it's not necessarily predicated on the taste of the product.
Right.
Through the channel, we've been fortunate enough to try a lot of really hard to get products.
Doesn't mean we own them. Sometimes we've been given them by people, the community, you guys.
Or we've been able to try them, through a sample or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like samples given to us from you guys.
And a few of them are really, really good.
There are some that are good, and that's the thing. I think you need to try it, taste it. If you go to a bar, buy a pour, sample it with friends before you say 100% because it's allocated, it's good. That doesn't necessarily, they're not correlated. They can be two different things.
I really wish I would have known that when I started out getting bourbon nerdy, because I was trying to hunt down stuff that I couldn't get my hands on. I was ready to overpay. Finally, what happened was I couldn't find things anyway, so I started doing blind tastings, and I realized that the things that were really hyped up weren't hitting my palate as well as some of the things that were sitting on the shelves. So again, over here on this channel, what we really try to advocate is blind tastings. Check the video description below for some sample jars. Not affiliated. These are just what we use to do blind tastings over here. Put some of your favorite stuff in there. Put some of the things in there that you like, but you don't know if you love. Do some blind tastings and see if that changes your opinion without all the bias.
Blind tastings truly are fun. That, like, as someone who's not a whiskey nerd, I'm just here for the people. They're really fun to do just because you don't know what you're tasting, and you really get a true sense of what you like versus what you might not like.
Wild thing about whiskey is that everybody thinks it's supposed to be this unilateral, unanimous decision process. If it's good for you, it's good for him, and it's good for her, and it's good for me, and it's good for everybody. Right, and that's silly. Like, some people like light roast coffee, some people like dark roast coffee, some people like cheeseburgers, some people like tacos. There's people who like...
I like cheeseburgers and tacos.
I mean, true, but there's some people who like pad thai, there's some people who hate pad thai. Palates differ, and we're talking about a product that at the end of the day comes down to taste.
Correct.
It's not like you can look at a piece of paper and say 2 + 2 = 4. Everybody likes this product.
Correct. And
everybody loves Buffalo Trace.
Even in us, we are tasting, in our blind samples or our blind tastings, we are tasting the exact same product. And most of the time we're getting different things. Different
flavors, different overall experiences a lot of times. And we hope we highlight that through our blind tastings here. But that's why we think it's so important to do blind tastings on your own, or at least watch them. Either us or another channel that might be doing blind tastings. But for us, it's really highlighting the fact that palates do differ, and our own palates even differ from day to day. Like, we love Wild Turkey Rare Breed. We found that out through blind tastings as it beat some very highly allocated products that people pay $500, $1,000, $1,500 a bottle for. We found that Wild Turkey Rare Breed sitting on shelves beat those products in blind tastings.
For us.
However, another day in another blind tasting, Wild Turkey Rare Breed comes across as just all right for us. If you think about your own personal palate preferences, there's some days where you might want that cheeseburger, and there's other days where that cheeseburger sounds awful and nothing's going to do but a taco. So whiskey is no different. These are matters of taste. Please, please, please use the reviews that we do. There are other reviews that you see out there. These are only guideposts.
Yeah, and
they're not law.
When you hear a review, whether it's us or another channel, hear about if they say why they like it, or something, or dislike something, because that can clue you in if you would like it or dislike it. Because if they say it tastes like butterscotch, caramel and vanilla, but they don't say that they like it and they don't say why, then you might not know why, and you might not get those. Because Josh has said things that he gets, caramel and vanilla and banana on things, and I'm like over here drinking the same thing, getting bacon and barbecue and wood on it. So listen to the why. No matter what you're watching, listen to the why somebody likes or dislikes something.
And how that why relates to your own palate. Whiskey is a voodoo, not science. And when I say that it's a voodoo, what I mean is that you can take the same exact mash bill, the grain bill recipe. You can, let's say you have 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% malted barley. You're going to put that in a barrel. You can take that exact same distillate, the grain distillate, put that in 2 barrels that sit side by side in a warehouse. they can age for the same 6 or 8 or 12 years. And then you can pull those exact 2 same barrels, those sister barrels, they call them, sitting right next to each other in a rick house, and they could taste totally different.
Yeah.
Why? Maybe barrel 2 was made with 100-year oak, and barrel 1 was made with 50-year oak. Those trees grew at different rates.
It's so many factors.
There was different evaporative because the north side of the warehouse was a little warmer than the south side of the warehouse.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many different things that can go into it. So that's why kind of whiskey is such a fun product to be involved in. But even when you look at things that are supposed to be consistent, like your small batch products or your mass market products, something like Wild Turkey 101, for instance, or E.H. Taylor Small Batch. These are products that are made and blended and crafted to a profile by those distilleries. But if you took one of those bottles right now from 2023 and you compared it to that exact same bottle from 2013, or spin it forward to 2033, they're going to taste totally different because the seasons have been different. Winters have been colder or hotter. Summers have been colder or hotter. The interaction of the distillate with the wood is going to change over time. And honestly, these distilleries are just trying to get as close as possible, but they're honestly throwing darts with a blindfold on. They're literally just trying to get as close as they can.
They're using science to try to help them with their voodoo magic.
Right. And science is getting better.
Yeah.
Like if you ever are in Kentucky and you can take a tour at Bardstown Bourbon Company, you will see all the science that is involved in what the whiskey making process looks like. But at some point, they have to put that distillate into a barrel and they have to turn it over to Mother Nature. And that is where things can get completely different over time.
Which is honestly kind of the exciting thing about whiskey in general, because you never know what you're going to get.
It is. If you're trying to find the exact same product, buy your Wild Turkey 101, buy your Evan Williams Bottled and Bond or Black Label, buy your Buffalo Trace if you can find it. Buy those big products, the ones that are going to change the least, but even those are going to change over time. I wish I had known that going into this, and I honestly don't hear people talk about it enough, the fact that whiskey does change over time, even the exact same products you've been buying for years. And last but certainly not least, actually this is the absolute tip of the top. It's really not about the whiskey.
The most important thing you had known.
It's not about the whiskey, guys. The whiskey is just the bridge. Whiskey is a bridge building tool.
Yeah.
To relationships.
That's why I'm here.
Exactly. And you said it at the top of the episode. If you use whiskey as a tool to connect to other people, like we do here on this channel with you guys in the comments, like we do with our patrons over on Patreon, all the things that we got going on, or some other avenue, local bourbon groups, whatever you can get involved in.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that you are going to enjoy this hobby so much more if you just start making those connections, feeding into those relationships, using that as the reason you hunt bottles to share with the people that you care about.
Yeah.
That's going to be far more
fulfilling
than anything else you could possibly do in this hobby.
100%.
I wish I would have focused on that a little bit more in the beginning when I was too focused on hunting down bottles. People get their priorities out of alignment. And for me, it was all about just hoarding and collecting as much as I could get my hands on. And then inevitably, I found out, oh, I've got more whiskey than I can ever possibly drink. Let me start sharing this stuff. And that's when I really saw the true joy of this hobby. If you like this style of content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. This is what we do over here. On Tuesdays, we have these topical conversations. We like to bring up stuff that we can engage in with the comments below. So go ahead and comment down there. Like the video if you liked it, and go ahead and hit the bell if you want to join us for a pour on one of our live streams. They float around a little bit, so by hitting that bell, that's going to let you know when we're going live. And join us, please.
Absolutely.
Have a drink.
We would love it so much. And I think that's it for today. Be good to each other. And until next time,
cheers.